The silent doom of the USS Scorpion. In the year 1968, a tragedy unfolded far from the eyes of the world. It did not occur in a war zone, nor was it caused by enemy fire. There were no torpedo strikes, no explosions seen from above, and no dramatic radio plea for help. Only a silent plunge into the dark waters of the Atlantic Ocean near the Azores, a descent that no one had foreseen. The vessel at the center of this mystery was the USS Scorpion, a skipjack-class nuclear-powered submarine built for speed and secrecy during the height of the Cold War. On board were 99 sailors and 2 nuclear-armed torpedoes. Yet on the morning she vanished, no distress signal was sent. By afternoon, she had missed a routine communication check. By night, an unsettling radio silence began, one that would never be broken. The Scorpion had just completed a standard patrol mission in the Mediterranean Sea and was heading back to her home base in Norfolk, Virginia. At first, the U.S. Navy did not panic. Submarines often go quiet for operational reasons. Missed reports were logged, not feared. But as hours turned into days and the submarine failed to arrive, alarm replaced procedure. The USS Scorpion had vanished. Her final known position placed her somewhere southwest of the Azores, in extremely deep waters. There were no storms, no enemy submarines, and nothing unusual detected in the region. Earlier during the mission, she had reported a minor mechanical issue with her trash disposal system, but no one believed it was serious. Submarine crews are trained to function under pressure. Malfunctions are common and manageable. But something happened in those depths that no one expected, a catastrophic event that gave the crew no chance to survive. A classified search mission began almost immediately. U.S. Navy ships swept the Atlantic using sonar, yet no trace appeared. Families were told almost nothing. On June 5, 1968, the submarine was officially declared presumed lost. Only a week later, the public was informed, and even then the details were scarce. Secretly, the Navy had already deployed a deep-sea search craft called Mizar to explore the ocean floor. In 1969, 1 year later, the wreck was finally discovered. The USS Scorpion lay 11,000 feet below the surface, crushed by extreme pressure. Photos captured by remote underwater vehicles revealed that the submarine was split apart. Her sail was collapsed, her bow torn away. The destruction appeared sudden but strangely clean. There were no burn marks, no signs of external attack, no holes from torpedoes, only massive internal collapse caused by the enormous pressure of the deep ocean. At that depth, water pressure does not bend metal, it obliterates it. Human remains, machinery, and entire compartments were compressed into silence. The crew never had a chance. The submarine imploded so fast that no emergency message could be sent. Rumors spread quickly. The Cold War turned every mystery into suspicion. Some believed the Soviet Navy had sunk her. Others claimed one of her own torpedoes detonated inside. The fact that she was armed with nuclear weapons fueled even darker theories. Reactor failure, sabotage, accidental nuclear chain reaction. All possibilities were debated. But the U.S. Navy released carefully controlled statements and kept the true findings classified. Officially, the cause of the disaster is still unknown. One internal theory suggested the Scorpion may have been preparing to launch a torpedo when it malfunctioned, looped back, or exploded prematurely. Others suspected a failure in the hydraulic system caused rapid flooding. Some believed a battery explosion triggered the crisis. Yet each theory fell apart somewhere. No explanation fits perfectly. The wreck remains silent, as if hiding its own truth. For the families of the crew, uncertainty became torment. They received folded American flags, formal letters, and ceremonial condolences, but no real answers. Some held memorials every year on May 22nd, the date the submarine disappeared. Others demanded the Navy declassify the investigation reports. Many were convinced that the truth had been covered up, not lost. And perhaps they weren't entirely wrong. Declassified documents released years later revealed that the Scorpion had been monitoring Soviet naval movements near the Canary Islands before she vanished. Some sources claimed she was tracking a Soviet submarine. Others insisted she was being hunted in return. Some went as far as to claim she was destroyed in retaliation for spying operations. These claims were never proven, but they were never ruled out either. The men aboard the Scorpion were mostly young, many under 30. Their last letters home still survive. They wrote about coming home soon, about their children, about ordinary life. None of them knew what fate was waiting for them beneath the waves. The ocean floor where the Scorpion lies is a place of cold darkness, beyond the reach of sunlight. Sonar rarely touches that depth. The submarine lies still, coated in rust, a metal tomb in the silent graveyard of the Atlantic. She has never been raised. She will never return. Her wreck has been officially declared a war grave. The 2 nuclear torpedoes that remain inside her hull have caused environmental concerns. But nuclear experts say the warheads are inert and pose little risk. Yet fears linger. Not fear of radiation, but fear of what truly happened. Other submarines were lost during that era. USS Thresher in 1963, Soviet K-129 in 1968. But what happened to the Scorpion is unique. No enemy attack, no known accident, no final message, just an unexplained death below calm water during a time that was supposed to be peaceful. In Norfolk, Virginia, a memorial stands with the names of all 99 sailors who vanished aboard the USS Scorpion. Families still gather there every year, but most people have never heard the full story. The submarine disappeared in peacetime, and with time, her story quietly faded into military archives. But her mystery has not sunk, not completely. Somewhere below 11,000 feet of pressure and darkness, the USS Scorpion still lies, broken, silent, and hidden. Her final moments remain locked inside twisted steel. The sea took her, and the sea keeps its secrets. The untold fate of the USS Cyclops. Before it ever disappeared, the USS Cyclops was already a ship of renown. Stretching more than 540 feet in length, it was one of the largest fuel and cargo vessels in the U.S. Navy, built not for battle, but to sustain warfare. Her steel frame hauled tons of coal and minerals across the sea, feeding the industrial engines of World War I in February of 1918. She entered the port of Rio de Janeiro on what seemed like a routine mission, nothing unusual, nothing alarming. Her orders were simple: take on a massive load of manganese ore, a dense mineral essential for forging hardened steel. By the time the final cargo hold was sealed, Cyclops was heavier than she had ever been. Yet no one aboard viewed this as a threat. No warnings were issued, no alarms sounded. On paper, it was just another voyage. The ocean was calm as she departed Brazil, charting a straightforward course north toward Baltimore with a brief stop planned in Barbados. Her massive engines rumbled steadily through the water, carrying 309 people. Sailors, officers, and a handful of passengers, none of whom knew they would never set foot on land again. After leaving Barbados on March 4, 1918, the Cyclops vanished. Completely. No drifting debris washed ashore. No radio message ever called for help. No lifeboats were found adrift. For a vessel of her size, the total lack of evidence was beyond shocking. It was impossible. The disappearance wasn't just mysterious. It was as if someone had erased the ship from existence. One day she was steaming across the Atlantic. The next day, she was gone, wiped from the world without a single trace. The Navy launched an urgent investigation, combing every nautical mile along her expected route between the Caribbean and the eastern United States. Nothing. Rumors began to circulate. Some blamed hidden design flaws that may have fractured the ship under the weight of her cargo. Others suspected sabotage, perhaps even an attack by a German U-boat. After all, the war had made enemies of many. But no German submarine reported encountering her, and no hostile action was ever verified. Even if disaster had struck suddenly, why was there no radio distress call? The Cyclops was equipped with wireless communication. She had time, hours of travel, yet no signal was ever sent. Captain George W. Worley, the ship's commander, soon became the center of scrutiny. Born in Germany and known for his unpredictable behavior, he was a controversial figure. Some crew members feared him, others despised him. Whispers of mutiny and sabotage surfaced, but there was no proof, no signs of rebellion, no captured messages, no sudden change of course. If there was foul play, where did the ship go? How could 309 people simply vanish without leaving a single clue behind? 3 weeks after her expected arrival, the USS Cyclops was officially declared missing. Families were notified in dry, heartbreaking telegrams. But without wreckage or bodies, grief took on a strange, uncertain shape. Some families refused to accept the loss. Letters were sent to the Navy begging for answers. A few desperate loved ones turned to seances, clinging to the hope that someone, anyone, was still alive. But hope eventually gave way to silence. The war ended later that same year. The world moved on, but the Atlantic kept its secret. Decades later, the story of the Cyclops would become entangled with the legend of the Bermuda Triangle, a mysterious stretch of ocean infamous for unexplained disappearances. Researchers traced her last known path, right through the heart of that now famous region. Stranger still, two sister ships of the Cyclops, the USS Proteus and USS Nereus, vanished years later under nearly identical conditions, carrying the same kind of cargo, across the same cursed waters. Coincidence? Or something more? Speculation exploded. Some blamed rogue waves, underwater earthquakes, methane gas eruptions, or sudden structural failure. Others leaned into the supernatural, time portals, dimensional rifts, or alien abductions. Still, none of those theories explain one undeniable truth. Not a single piece of wreckage has ever been found. The manganese ore stored in the ship's hold has also been reconsidered. Packed unevenly, the extreme weight may have caused the ship to buckle mid-voyage. Some engineers suggest the keel, the vessel's backbone, might have snapped, causing the ship to sink vertically in seconds. If that happened, Cyclops could have plunged straight to the ocean floor before anyone could react. No time to radio, no time to launch lifeboats. Sealed compartments would have dragged her down fast, swallowed whole by the deep. But even that doesn't solve the greatest mystery of all. Why hasn't she been found? Modern sonar has located long-lost wrecks around the world, from warships to passenger liners, but never the Cyclops. Some oceanographers believe she rests buried under miles of shifting sediment at the bottom of an underwater trench. Others think she lies crushed in an abyss too deep for current technology to reach. A few letters from the final voyage still survive today. One sailor wrote casually to his sister about the hot weather in Brazil and the dust from the cargo getting into everything. Another wrote about Captain Worley pacing the decks at night, staring silently across the dark sea. But none of the letters showed fear. None suggested disaster. They were calm, ordinary, the kind of letters written by men who expected to come home. The loss of the USS Cyclops remains the largest non-combat loss of life in U.S. naval history. 309 lives, gone without a trace. Ships like the Titanic and the Lusitania left wreckage behind, graves for the grieving to mourn. Cyclops left nothing but questions. In every naval archive, she is still listed the same way, lost. With all hands, but this story is not over. Advanced deep-sea expeditions continue to search the ocean floor. Her name still echoes in maritime lore. And somewhere, beneath centuries of silent water, the truth waits, hidden, heavy, and unresolved.